Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of The Split, a young adult book review podcast for readers and writers. I'm Bryan Cohen, the author of the Ted Saves the World series. That is Robert Scanlon, the author of the Dreamer Chronicles. Oh, that was good. That was some good movement there. So it's been cold here in Chicago. We talk about the weather a lot on this program. We should just call ourselves the hailstorm or something. We talk about the weather a lot. I know it's warm in Australia. Robert, how do you guys take advantage of the warmth, or because it's warm so often, you get spoiled by it and don't really do anything?
You completely forget what it's like to be cold, actually, in my part of the world. I mean, there are parts of Australia that have cold winters, of course, but where I am is subtropical. So for probably 9 months of the year, we wear shorts and T-shirt. And so even if I go down to, say, Sydney, which is still very warm, but if I go in winter, I've completely forgot that I've actually got to take a jacket. I've got to have long sleeves. I may need socks.
Oh wow!
So yeah, you do get heavily conditioned. That's for sure. Yeah, but in a good way.
Okay, well, good.
Thanks for asking.
Fun. You're welcome. You're very welcome.
Hey, by the way, I see you wearing the same shirt as last week.
I am.
Me too.
You too. Oh man, it must be the split shirt.
No.
We should get shirts.
Yeah.
Just wear them every time.
Well, the logo's so good.
Yeah, it is. It is. I can't wait to spread it, share it with the world. So we've got a book to review. Surprisingly,
Yep.
It isn't the hailstorm. Lockwood and Co. The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. As always, I'll describe it, then we'll talk about it as readers, we'll talk about it as writers, takeaways, and a prompt. The Screaming Staircase is set in a world where ghosts have become common knowledge, and kids like Lucy Carlisle are the only ones who can see them. The charismatic Anthony Lockwood and his cohort George hire Lucy to join a non-adult supervised agency, and hijinks ensue. A burning building, a possessed locket, and a mysterious billionaire factor into a series of mysteries Lucy needs to solve to keep the agency afloat and the three of them alive. So, this was a real treat for me, I gotta say. The characters were well drawn, the action started right away, which I appreciated after reading The Night Circus, which is great, but, it took a bit to get going. The world's well drawn and thought out, I was invested in the action. Maybe Stroud was holding some things back for future books. There's some conflicts that seemed like they might be something, but they weren't really as blown out as, say, I think Harry Potter and the Slytherin, that was always, even from book one, really drawn out. But you've kind of got your Slytherin evil government ghost hunters that is touched upon but not really drawn out. So maybe that's for later, but I didn't really mind so much. It's funny, it's action-packed, I liked it. What do you think, Robert?
Oh, I love it. I just think, I was flicking back through it again just to get ready for this show, and I'd forgotten how much I loved it. And I've got the sequel sitting next to my bed ready to read, and I can't wait. I think, it's a kid's book, and it's perfectly fine for middle graders. You need to be an advanced reader, that's for sure. But the Harry Potter audience is the audience for this book. There's no question about that.
Sure.
Nothing dodgy in there, no sexual content, no, not even any romance. So, it's a perfect action magic book. And as you say, contrast to Night Circus, where the mystery was mysterious in itself. Even the mystery was mysterious. Here, the mystery is referred to, but it's not the main thing. The main thing is the relationship between the characters, which is brilliantly done. As you say, the charismatic Anthony Lockwood, who mostly just gets referred to as Lockwood, and I love that. And it's told from Lucy's point of view, and so she has she's probably what you call an unreliable narrator, in the sense that she has a very high opinion of herself, but actually she makes quite a lot of mistakes. So it's really clever, and this is by an author who is very experienced. You know, he's written the Bartimaeus series for people, other readers who they're slightly darker than this. So he's an experienced author. There's no question, and I think that really shows in the prose. I love the prose. I love the dialogue. As you say, it starts in the action where it needs to be. There is some backstory filling in, which some reviewers complained about. I did not mind. I did not even notice it.
I liked it. What I loved about that was it wasn't all info dumped at the beginning. They got a little bit of action in first.
Exactly. And here you go, Bryan. You know, what is the problem? Quotes. I mean, you know, this is great. They've got this thing called the problem, and you never find out what that was. You just know it was initiated somewhere. So there's mystery, as you say, that Stroud has probably dangled for a future book. I'd love to see this made into a movie. It'd be fantastic.
It would be a really fun movie. Let's talk about it as writers, because we're writers. I thought the description was really great in this book. There is just a passage that sticks out in my head when Lucy's describing the locket and going so deep into what it looks like from the kind of tarnished edges, and you're really seeing it, and all the houses. I felt like I was in these creepy houses, particularly during the haunting ghost scenes. I think the plot was maybe a little funny. We didn't get to the screaming staircase of the title until well into halfway through the book. But I think it was earned because it was a first book in a series, and they have to build up to it. I think Stroud could carry this series on for a long time with lots of mysteries to solve. It can be like a American dramedy, kind of with your monster of the week and maybe a little hint of the ongoing story. But I could see this going on for a long time, just that all of their cases, they just keep going.
Yeah, maybe Netflix should option it and turn it into, you know, some kind of TV series, and you know, the modern day Ghostbusters. Because
that's a good idea.
As you say, the settings are really. It's what is it? It's not just a description. He doesn't over describe. There's detail when you need the detail, like the skull in the jar and the locket, as you say. But yet at other times you kind of skip ahead. And there were a couple of occasions where I had to work out. Oh, hang on a minute. Have we just gone 3 days ahead or 3 weeks ahead? And so there was some time jumps in there that got me a little confused to start. But that may be because I was reading it fast because I loved it so much. This whole idea of the simplicity in the ideas, and that they're not over explained. You know, why does silver work to trap a ghost? Why does iron repel them? He never bothers to explain it. It's just the way it is. Yeah, and the fact that there's this ghost detective agency that, as you say, they're unsupervised. They're just kids. and none of that's explained either. It just is. And I love that because you're in the action and they're doing stuff. Yeah.
Oh, I totally agree. I want you to start with one of the 3 takeaways today, and then I'll give another one, and then you give a third one.
I'll do that. Actually, I think I've got 5 for this book.
Wow.
Anyway. It's just
nice.
It is one of my favorites. You know, here's my takeaway. My first takeaway is this: whilst this is a book written for the younger reader, this book would be enjoyed by all ages. That's my opinion, because there were moments when I was reading this book when the hair on the back of my neck was going up. And I read it after my daughter, who is 11, and she gave it to me, and she said it was a discovery. We were in a bookshop. She had some book vouchers, and we saw it, and we read the blurb, and we saw the cover, and we knew Jonathan Stroud. Oh, this looks really good, and she finished it in probably a 2 days flat, as she does, or even a day. She gave it to me and said, "Daddy, you have got to read this. It is so scary," and she's right. You know, it's a kid's book, but it's genuinely spine-tingling, and so you can still do it. It doesn't have to be gore and horror and zombies, and that's what I think. That's my first takeaway.
I totally agree. I thought it was very scary. There were scenes where they seemed very imperiled. It wasn't just scanned over quickly. Like this they were in some deep stuff in various parts of this book when they're in the red room and whatnot. Like, how on earth are they going to get out of this? I think it was very well done. My takeaway, I think when you take the time to explain your world, it rewards your readers because, and he didn't explain, like he went into it, he didn't explain all of it, but we knew enough to know that these ghost things have been happening for 30, 40, 50 years. There's these detective agencies. There's like kind of this government paid kid system for people with abilities. That was all very interesting to me. And it really painted this world well. And even just the kind of going back and forth between Lockwood and the police officer, that just cracked me up. And I thought, like, it cracked me up at the same time that it explained the world. So yes. I think about your world. We say it over and over again. If that's true, what else is true? Build it up. Keep building, and you're going to come up with something really interesting that your readers are excited by.
Very nice. Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot to it. It's rich without being over-explained, and I think that's exactly what you're saying. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Look, I'll give a couple more takeaways. The first one is that whilst this is, again, it's a kid's book, it's aimed at the younger audience, the characters are so well drawn. You've got three main characters that you're following through in Lockwood, Lucy, and George. We didn't mention George, but he's kind of the brains
George
of the operation. And they're all really eccentric. And so when you're drawing characters for these type of books, whether you're a reader or you're a writer, one of the things that we love is that interaction and interplay between characters. And each of these characters have their flaws, and not just one, they have several. And I love the way that those flaws are not just thrown in for good measure, they're actually used in creating the stories. So for me, one of the takeaways is, this story rises even higher because of the great characters.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Want my bonus takeaway?
I want your bonus takeaway.
Yeah. The Red Room. I'm not going to say anything more. You've got to read the book.
Oh, yeah. That was pretty fantastic.
It was intense.
That was pretty great. Go read the book. Check out the Red Room, and then go write your own horror scene and see what you can pull from it. I've got a prompt.
Give it to me quick. I'm thirsty for a prompt.
Okay. The agency concept is ripe with monster of the week potential, whether it's Mulder and Scully of the X-Files or Anthony and Lucy of Lockwood and Co. Create an agency that investigates the paranormal. What aspects of the unseen world do they look into, and why?
Ooh, nice. So from that, you're really going to have to start thinking about what is the setting and what are the rules of these particular paranormal unseen beings. And hey, can't wait to find out what a type 3 ghost is, huh?
Right? I assumed they were going to run into a type 3 ghost, but they didn't run into a type 3 ghost.
He's, as you said, he's holding things up his sleeve. Not that any author would ever do that for a series. I mean, why would you do that, honestly?
No. Oh, goodness. Well, that was great. It was great talking about that. There's a sequel. We'll have to review that at some point, too, because I would love to read it as well. So, good stuff. Comment with your story response or your general responses to this episode at thesplitbookreviews.com. Comment on the YouTube channel. Comment on our blog posts. Send us an email. We'd love to hear. We'd love your reviews on our iTunes channel. All that great stuff. It helps us to stay in business because we're not paid for this yet. Maybe we will someday. But as of right now, no money coming in. We're much like Lockwood and Co.
That's it.
We have a lot of work to do to pay down the debt after we burned down that podcast house that we were staying in.
And I have to say, Bryan, we do actually do this completely unsupervised.
Yeah, we do. We do. Completely unsupervised. Our wives in the other rooms or houses are keeping close eye, but generally unsupervised.
Indeed.
So cool. Well, I'm Bryan Cohen. That's Robert Scanlon. This was The Split. We were really happy to do this for you guys. So come back next week. We're going to have more. We're going to keep doing this. And we're learning a lot in the process. So we're loving it, living it. And you're hopefully doing at least one of those things. So thank you guys very much and have an awesome week of reading and writing.
Go do it.
Thank you guys for watching. Somewhere on this page is a subscribe button to the Split channel. We do reviews every week. We would love it if you followed us every single week. Isn't that right, Robert?
That's exactly right. Follow us now. Hit the subscribe button.